from Windsor West.
Windsor West. Thank you, Speaker. Words cannot describe what an honour it is to have the opportunity to rise in the House, represent the people of Windsor West, and take part in the making of Ontario's history. I would like to congratulate my fellow MPPs, both new and returning. We have all been given the incredible task of bringing the voices of our constituents to this place and to the attention of our colleagues, and I look forward to working with each one of you. I also want to acknowledge Teresa Perusa, who represented my riding previous to me. Speaker, I ask your indulgence as I offer my thanks to the numerous people that were instrumental in my campaign. Our leader, Andrea Horvath. During her numerous visits to Windsor, I had the opportunity to get to know her. I am impressed by her rich character, service to her community, commitment to Ontario, and her fighting spirit. Hers is a difficult job, and she does it with grace. To my volunteers, I had many volunteers, too many to name in the time I have been given. Many spent from sunup to sundown working on my campaign, and I often joke that we should set up cots in the campaign office so they could just spend the night since they were there so often. I could not have asked for a more hard-working, dedicated team. To the various Labour affiliates, they spent many hours on my behalf making calls, knocking on doors, and pulling the vote. I appreciate their efforts and their choice to spend their precious free time aiding me. My gratitude to Robin, Ian, Kieran, Chris, Mariano, Dougie, John, and Joe. Those are the people that I could count on seeing in my campaign office every day. Windsor City Councillor Ron Jones and Catholic School Board Trustee Frank Favitt for supporting my nomination and allowing me the opportunity to enter into what would be a ride of a lifetime, also referred to as a campaign. I had no shortage of sound advice available to me thanks to Howard Pauley, the former Premier of Manitoba, and former MPPs Wayne Lessard and Ted Bouncel. Wayne and Ted represented the ridings of Windsor-Walkerville, Windsor-Riverside, Windsor West, and Windsor-Sandwich during their time as MPPs. Brian Massey, the Member of Parliament for Windsor West. He's my federal teammate. Brian is an inspiration. He works tirelessly for the constituents of Windsor West. When not in Ottawa, Brian spent time going door to door with me, and it was moving to see how tapped into the needs of the community he is and how many lives he has touched in his 12 years as the MP in our riding. I must thank my family, my husband Tyler, and my children Morgan and Jacob. There were many days we barely saw each other while I spent hours knocking on doors, and they traveled Windsor West putting up signs. They did the work at home and made sure that when I got there, I had nothing to do but rest and prepare for the next busy day. Their support was and continues to be unwavering. Lastly, I'll recognize the constituents of Windsor West. I always received a warm welcome on the doorstep of the thousands of people I visited. They shared some of their most personal experiences and deepest concerns. I will outline some of those concerns later in my presentation. Thank you, Windsor West, for putting your faith in me and giving me the opportunity to be your voice in this great place. I do not take this position lightly. Let me share a little bit of Windsor West's rich history. Located in an old sandwich town is the Duff Bobby House, built by Alexander Duff as a fur trade post, and it was later purchased by James Bobby. The building is now owned by the Heritage Trust and houses government offices. Mackenzie Hall, which is also located in Windsor West, was built by stonemason Alexander Mackenzie, who later became the second Prime Minister of Canada. The Underground Railroad is a key part of history which aided many slaves in their quest for freedom. Windsor West is a part of that history, and there is an International Underground Railroad monument erected to honor the struggles of those that made a very difficult journey and faced insurmountable obstacles. Windsor also boasts a beautiful riverfront, which in my riding includes a sculpture garden, festival plaza, and playgrounds. As a city that borders the United States, Windsor provides 2 points of entry into Canada, a bridge over the Detroit River and a tunnel under it, both located in Windsor West. Being a city with a border crossing, we welcome many foreign visitors as well as newcomers looking to call Windsor home. Our proximity to the United States, low housing costs, Beautiful parks, trails, waterfront, and welcoming attitude is what attracts newcomers to our region. We happily say that we are a very diverse community. My riding is not without its share of concerns. I will speak to each as they pertain to the throne speech. When speaking to the residents, I hear time and time again about the concerns around health care. Our ER wait times are too high, the number of primary care physicians is too low, home care wait times are too lengthy, and services are limited. Although there has been some investment into long-term care facilities, it's simply not enough. Many people spend far too long in a hospital bed when they should be in a long-term care facility. Ideally, patients that can return to their home would, however, the supports they need are not there for them. Improvements need to be made. Investments in our care providers, as well as the buildings and hospitals that so many rely on. The people of Windsor have shown that alongside New Democrats, they will not sit idly by and allow key medical treatments such as thoracic cancer surgery to be ripped from our community. We will not be told we have to travel 2 hours up the 401 to receive life-saving treatments. Ontario does not end in London. There has been talk of a new state-of-the-art mega hospital to be built in our region. Based on the Liberal record, myself and my constituents are concerned that it is just that, talk. We know there is a process moving forward with regards to the planning of the new hospital, but a plan and follow-through are very different things. The people of Windsor and Essex County deserve to have a definitive answer. Will there or won't there be a new hospital in our region, or is it simply a plan? When can we expect to see a new facility? How much will it cost taxpayers, and what will become of our current hospitals? The government promises transparency, and my constituents want to know the answer to these questions. From elementary school through high school, and then moving through to our post-secondary facilities, the Windsor area offers stellar educational experiences to all students. Post-secondary education should be affordable for all. Every person should be given an opportunity to achieve their education goals without drowning in debt. Teachers in Windsor and Essex County host a yearly event that benefits charitable organizations. The event is called Teachers Have Heart. I can tell you that through my role as a trustee for the Public School Board and from working with teachers and support staff during my campaign, teachers truly do have heart and want nothing but the best for our young learners. This cannot be forgotten at the provincial bargaining table, and we cannot have a repeat of Bill 115. This government must work with all public sector employees in a fair and inclusive manner. I have seen firsthand how my children have benefited from public education. Our teachers and support staff provide more than a formal education. They are referees, problem solvers, advice givers, a shoulder to cry on, and a surrogate parent throughout a large part of our children's day. Many things are learned and memories made within the walls of our school buildings, and it is up to the government to make sure all supports are in place to provide the staff and students a safe and secure atmosphere for learning. Funding must be provided for adequate care and upkeep of our schools. In Windsor, we proudly speak of the numerous new schools we have been able to build over the last decade. New buildings with bright classrooms, welcoming environments, and energy-efficient heating and cooling systems. Windsor also has a large inventory of aging historic schools, which we also speak fondly of, but are underfunded for their upkeep. These schools are in our community, in our neighbourhoods, and we cannot lose any more of them to mega schools that are often located outside the neighbourhoods they are built to serve. The throne speech speaks of schools as community hubs, and I agree. They should be, but taking away neighbourhood schools and busing kids in great numbers does not fit the theme of community hub. We can do better. School boards are also underfunded for special education. Again, funding must be in place to allow boards to provide their staff and students a safe and secure learning and work environment. That includes the learning materials that help all students to thrive, including those with special needs. Of great concern is the trend of our youth leaving our city when done school because they can't find a job that fits their needs. Investments must be made to support local business so they can afford to hire those entering the workforce. For those youth facing difficult times, supports must be offered so they have a safe, inviting environment to turn to. a place to call home or somewhere that welcomes them warmly and offers them support by way of food, clothing, shelter, the ability to focus on returning to school, obtaining a job, and eventually thriving on their own. Windsor does have facilities to aid our in-need or at-risk youth, one of which is the Windsor Youth Centre. Much-needed organizations such as the WIC receive little or no funding to provide their invaluable service to the youth and community as a whole. The people of Windsor are generous and help when they can, but organizations like the WIC count on donations from the community in order to offer food, clothing, shelter, or bus tickets for youth to get to school or to a job interview. Youth poverty is a growing concern. However, the problem extends to those most vulnerable from all age groups as well. A comprehensive strategy is needed to help lift people out of poverty and support them, not just in Windsor, but in all of Ontario. There was a time when the people of Windsor West could count on good-paying, stable jobs for themselves, their children, and their children's children. Manufacturing jobs often meant a good salary as well as pension and benefits. This is not the case anymore. This government must develop an auto strategy that includes input from all those with a vested interest, members from the other parties, company owners, CEOs, the municipalities, as well as the labour force. In Windsor, one layoff, one job loss ultimately turns into a great many more. We have lost GM, and we cannot afford to lose Ford and Chrysler as well. If these employers were to leave our city, it would be devastating. Consideration must be given to new and emerging industries as well. Invest in the future today. We must continue to strive to ensure those in the workforce earn a living wage. The recent rise in minimum wage is a good step forward, but many more should be taken as the cost of living, our everyday expenses, rise. The current minimum wage is still too low. This government needs to consider the hardship the rise in minimum wage has caused small business owners and implement measures to help ease the burden. Tax cuts for corporations benefit the wealthy. Lower taxes for small business owners allows them the ability to maintain or hire staff and pay a livable wage. People in Windsor West and all over Ontario are feeling squeezed financially. Already outrageous hydro rates continue to climb. Auto insurance is unaffordable for many. Childcare, where available, is often too expensive. People should not have to choose between groceries or paying the hydro bill. I would like to acknowledge a great project currently underway in my riding, the Herb Gray Parkway. This major infrastructure project will undoubtedly greatly improve travel in Windsor while providing an improved pathway to the United States. The people of Windsor West have expressed deep concern over the substandard girders that were initially installed in this major investment. Ultimately, after my colleague, the member from Windsor-Tecumseh, pressed the issue, the questionable girders were slated to be replaced. The concern of Windsor West residents was the government's willingness to move forward, knowing the issue with the girders and the delay in the project. Homeowners continue to deal with construction dust in the air and settling on their property and vehicles. As I stated, the Parkway is a much-needed infrastructure project in our community, and I am pleased to see our region receive that type of investment. I would like to take a moment and acknowledge all the men and women that are working so hard to complete the Herb Gray Parkway. A special note is Giuseppe Serra, who unfortunately was killed in a construction accident while working on the Parkway June 17, 2014. My heart and condolences go out to his workers, family, and friends. No worker should lose their life on the job. I am running out of time to speak, so I will summarize what I have heard from my constituents prior to the campaign, during, and following. Steps must be taken to rebuild our horse racing industry. A snap decision was made, a decision that affected thousands across the province, including Windsor and Essex County. A poor decision that can be undone. It will take time, more than it did to decimate the industry, but it can be undone. The people of Windsor West cannot afford to pay the ever-increasing costs of hydro and gas. They shouldn't have to choose between paying their hydro bill or feeding their families. Our goal should be to lift people out of poverty, not plunge them into it. Improvements to healthcare is a must. Investment in frontline workers, maintenance and upkeep of our hospitals, new state-of-the-art facilities and equipment. Cuts to services and moving life-saving treatments out of our community is not the answer, nor is it acceptable. Supports for workers and the companies that employ them. Windsor cannot lose auto sector or other manufacturing jobs. Windsor is a diverse community with a rich history and much to offer. We have an incredible record of festivals and celebrations that welcome visitors from near and far. We are a border town which boasts a beautiful waterfront and a place for newcomers to call home. We contribute greatly to the province of Ontario. The Premier promised during her first caucus meeting after the election that she would not forget about Windsor. I can assure the Premier and this government that myself and my colleague from Windsor-Tecumseh, as well as the constituents from Windsor and Essex County, will not let this government forget Windsor. Thank you.